then yeah, you're definitely going to be throttling from heat. But if you get like a Peerless Assassin, the Noctua, uh, welcome back, welcome back. So we have another Reddit post that we will be taking a look at, which I can kind of relate to, which after I get through this post, I'll tell you a bedtime story of what happened to my PC. So make sure you stick around for that. But here we go. So the post here is BDO wrecked my liquid cooler. JK, but upgrading for BDO performance helped me to discover it was leaking. And so this individual here posted a picture of his liquid pump. And yeah, that kind of begs the question, liquid pump or air cooler? I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be a heated discussion probably down below. So let's go ahead and look here. All right. I recommend a Noctua air cooler. It performs better than water cooling. What? Oh no. Noctua. Noctua. I don't know if y'all ever I'm sure you've seen the meme with the Hawktua girl. I had Oh, we're starting off strong. We're starting off strong. So this air cooler is actually a beast. It's huge. It is like literally like massive, and it takes up a good portion of the inside of your desktop. And does it perform better than water cooling? You know, I'm pretty sure it's well documented that, you know, liquid pumps is inherently better at cooling your CPU than an air cooler. However, an air cooler does a really good job. A really good job. You know, you can, for the most part, especially with the Noctua, keep your CPU levels down pretty good. So, but yeah, okay, let's see. An Arctic Freezer 2. I'm not sure what that one is. I'm guessing it's a CPU cooler as well. Solid build, great performance, near silent 2. If one has to go air, plenty of cheaper options these days that perform better than Noctua. I've heard of the Spirit, and I've really heard of the Peerless Assassin. I've heard the Peerless Assassin is amazing. That's just objectively false. Liquid has about 4 times higher thermal capacity compared to air cooling. I don't know the exact numbers. I mean, 4 times, maybe, but I think that, again, the data has shown that liquid coolers tend to be better than air coolers in terms of keeping the CPU cooler. But it doesn't mean that an air cooler cannot do a good job, right? Like I said, I think the Noctua or the Peerless Assassin are 2 great air coolers. In my PC, I'm running the AK 620 digital. I think that's the one I'm using. But essentially it's very comparable to like the Noctua. So yeah, air coolers can be really good. Are they as efficient as liquid coolers? Probably not. I think so so my CPU, I have the AMD 7950 X3D. I think that's what it is. Essentially, it's one of the top of the line AMD processors. And the CPU air cooler that I'm using, the AK620 digital, keeps it pretty cool, right? I think for the most part, my max temp that I've been at so far while running like BDO and like OBS and like YouTube on the side has been like 75 degrees, which is like really good, right? As long as you're not going like above 90. And of course, you know, if you ever hit 100, like you're just going to be throttling your temperature. But I think as long as you're not going over 90, you should be fine. You know, these newer CPUs are reaching just higher temperatures regardless. Oh gosh, this is a big post. Here we go. When you're talking about thermal saturation and time until equilibrium, yes, absolutely. But that's where liquid is superior for short bursts of activity compared to long-term gaming sessions. Still, having a 360 push-pull is more total airflow, dissipating heat to environment. That's just going to pump more heat out of the system. But the direct cold plate to vapor chamber directly attached to the fin stack is more efficient dissipation than cold plate to fins via water pressure, via impeller motor out to radiator. That's just less efficient, which is why it requires far more fans to do the same job. Plus, a conventional style water cooler in the style of OP doesn't account for small incidental air circulation. So just liquid has about 4 times higher thermal capacity, comes with a lot of qualifiers, LOL. What a post. My man over here spitting a lot of information that sure, we'll go with. Yeah, it sounds all legit. We'll go with it. But it's not 4 times better. Yeah, yeah, probably 4 times better. It's who knows? Who knows? That statement has so many something expectations, understatements, and simplifications. That's basically a war crime to claim that this is as a blanket fact. Yeah. Generally speaking, you're better off using a decent air cooler unless you know what you're doing and building a custom loop. 99% of AIOs are fancy. If not, no, well, you can just justify paying $100 to $200 extra to get a fancy looking AIO that performs like a Dark Rock 4 Pro. I think I've heard good things about that air cooler as well. But yeah, some of those liquid pumps can get quite expensive. Quite expensive. Fair enough, but case size, air temperature, humidity all can play rather massively on whether even a cheap AIO will beat out a really well-made air cooler. Not to mention that long duration loads favor air coolers over water coolers, so things such as games that only infrequently hit a water cooler's load cap will perform better than an air cooler, while a game that is constantly pushing the CPU to boost will perform better on air. These are even only a very small handful of many of the variables that need to be factored in to make such a blanket statement. Even Gamer Nexus frequently runs into problems accounting for variability outside of the mostly ideal conditions they test under. Most of the good AIOs at this point are functionally identical to a custom loop. You're mostly just downgrading the amount of water in the loop between an AIO and a custom loop, thus losing on top of the end thermal load, but the actual performance, assuming the same amount of water and RAD's size are identical unless something has either gone very wrong or there was something extreme, which is the biggest problem. Many of them are simply cheap and thus made the entire thing pointless, while rest are overpriced. Okay, so you end up with loads of functioning perfectly identical AIOs, all ranging in price, becoming more a question of how cheap you want to go instead of how nice you want to go. End of the day, if you ever want to try to make a flat statement that one or the other is better, you're always wrong no matter what. There are just too many variables to make blanket statements, but assuming this solidly designed ATX case with correct airflow, yeah, air coolers generally will be more reliable and reasonably optioned. Wow, what a post. Yeah, okay. So I think the data, right, shows that generally liquid pumps or AIOs will typically lower the CPU or keep it cooler than like an air cooler for the most part. However, I think it also shows that long term air coolers will typically outlast an AIO pump. And if there's virtually like no maintenance within an air cooler, essentially, I guess the only thing that could go bad is the fans inside of it, which are pretty easy to replace. So you pretty much agree with me. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying they are great AIOs, but most, as you said yourself, cheap out and don't perform any better than air coolers. Also won't live as long. while being twice as expensive and more. Yeah, they won't live as long compared to like air coolers. Just get an air cooled, just to name a few. What? That's okay. Let's see what else we got. More expensive. For me, Noctua is 2015. The Noctua is pretty old. It is, but it just shows you how well it performs even at the age it is. But again, yeah, the Peerless Assassin, right? I've heard great things about. Apparently, I guess they're better than the Noctua. Cheaper. Yeah, okay. Listen to this man. Listen to him. Oh, I made a post on here as well. So, yeah, we'll take a look at that a little bit later. That will be kind of my story that I'll tell you towards the end. Let's see. Task failed successfully. I've learned so much about PC coolers on this thread. Thanks, fellow nerds. Yeah. Thank you. So, liquid cooling is just as unnecessary of a gimmick as LEDs are, but with the added bonus of messing your computer if you make the slightest mistake. Just use fans. Nothing in gaming needs liquid cooling in 2024. Minus 24 downvotes. Yeah. You ruffled some feathers with that statement, huh? AIOs rarely leak, are quieter, and often better performance than air cooling. Saying it's a gimmick is dumb. I agree for the most part. Except for, I agree with all of it. Yeah. Mine did leak, which is the story I'll tell you later. But yeah, let's see. Let's continue this. Only needs to leak once to brick your entire PC. Water cooling is absolute a gimmick, always has been. Yes, and your PSU shorting can catch your entire PC on fire and burn your house down while it's at it. When I say rarely, I mean the failure rate for entire product lines is incredibly low. As long as you're not an idiot and install things correctly. Yeah. With my PC, my first gaming desktop that I ever had, way back in the day, I had it built through CyberPower PC. So lasted me for 2 years before I started having some issues. Let's see. Something with literal tangible benefits cannot be a gimmick. That's not what gimmicks means. It's much more difficult to push solid overclocks on modern CPUs like the 149K with air cooling, unless you're using a liquid metal and winning socket lotteries. And even then, quality AIOs or custom loop is objectively better. It's fine to say you don't want to use liquid cooling because you're afraid of even the potential risk. Most of the good ones have 6-year warranties anyway. Yeah, you would think of a leak. However, yeah, but see, that's where they get you. Sure, 6-year warranty on a leak doesn't mean they're going to replace your whole computer. They might just replace the pump, but not the whole computer if you have a leak. Oh, my bad. If you're cheaping out on the real rendering rig by overclocking your gaming PC to render, then yeah, it's not a gimmick. For gaming and actual top-of-the-line processing needs, however, 100% a gimmick. A gaming PC won't need that much power from a top-end CPU, and a real rendering rig won't be built so cheaply to get that hot. Completely unnecessary and dangerous to your rig. Dude, this man is just tearing it up with his downvotes. Better performance is better performance, especially when so many games are unoptimized these days. If you want to play high fidelity titles at 1440p or 4K, now that I'd call a gimmick. With 144 plus FPS, you need all the help you can get. Now with an Arctic freezer, still punch above its weight with no issues. Addition to speed, looks, temp, but also cuts down on the wear and tear. The temps I get from water cooling in general are lower and help overall with the lifespan of the card, like 40 to 50 C less than fan temps. What? 40 to 50 C. I'm kind of confused here. Is he saying that liquid cooling, you can get like less than, like you can, like the difference between an air cooler and a liquid cooler is like 40 to 50 degrees? If he's trying to say that, that is completely false. I don't know what in the world he's trying to say here. But yes, generally the temps should be cooler than an air cooler. Sure, but not that much. Definitely not that much. I don't know what he's trying to say there. I don't care what people say. Water cooling is superior to fans. I do like fans though. Okay. Alrighty. I think you misjudged attempts on the fact that water has a very high heat capacity and needs time to heat up. Versus metal, a large AO like 280, 360 can compete with the top of the line air coolers or outperform them, but it's not a lot. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So the liquid pumps are essentially double or triple the price of the best of coolers. Unless you're space restrained, I either build a custom loop with a D5 with ceramic bearing, or I stay on air. There's simply no reason to spend 100 extra on a cooler for a medium build or cheap out if you high end. Oh, okay. What are you? Team air cooler or team liquid cooler? Let me know down in the comments. This is such a bad take when you have a high-end CPU throttling from heat with fan cooling. Get a better fan than stock. Get a bigger PC case. Literally nothing needs water cooling these days. Honestly, nothing ever did. It's a PC gimmick. That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know if I totally agree with the high-end CPUs, unless you're running maybe like an i9 1400. Maybe. It really just depends on the air cooler that you're using. If you're using a cheap air cooler, then yeah, you're definitely going to be throttling from heat. But if you get like a Peerless Assassin, the Noctua, or the one that I'm using, the AK 620. I really hope I'm saying that one right. AK 620. I hope that's the CPU cooler. Yeah, unless you're not using one of those, then sure, you definitely could be throttling from heat. But yeah, but like he said, get a better fan than stock. Yeah. I don't think it's a PC gimmick though. I wasn't talking about stock fans. I was talking about the fact that you have CPUs like the 13 thermal throttling with high-end coolers on them when you do anything but browse the net, saying their gimmick is just factually incorrect. Yeah, I think what you're trying to say here is honestly kind of incorrect. Like I'm running one of the top end CPU coolers, AMD 7950 X3D, and again, I'm not throttling. I haven't even went over 80 degrees Celsius on my CPU yet, and I run a bunch of different things. So, however, Intel usually does run a little bit more hot. So, gotta admit, going through Intel these days is your own fault. Oh, look, 100%. I'm only using a 20, but I work on PCs constantly as a side hustle. When people say crap, it triggers me. Like, if you don't know, then okay. But if you're doubling down on spreading misinformation, it's just stupid. I get that the water cooler has a chance to mess things up, but saying it's a gimmick is just blatantly wrong. I agree. I don't think it's a gimmick. But I also don't agree with his statement on CPU fans causing thermal throttling. Just depends on what CPU air cooler that you're using. I agree, not debating that, but you have to find a really good AIO or build a custom loop from personal experience. A Dark Rock Pro 4 or most Nocturnas are on par or better than most AIOs for 250 bucks. LOL. Used to have an X360 Kraken on a 5800X not too long ago, and it performed worse than a Dark Rock 4 Pro. Hilarious, but also pretty sad. Also, I've been using a H110 for 7 years before it went out, and I had to replace it. But with Corsair, oh well. All this to say, the chance of it ruining your rig by a leak is absolutely low, and a joke to claim. It's very low, but it happened to me. I agree, which is why I like PCs. Everyone has their own flavor. Give it a results with an AIO purely due to airflow and heat produced by the raging GPU. Everything matters these days, right down to the last case fan. A high-end tower cooler will outperform almost all AIOs, but a high-end custom loop will outperform both. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what he's trying to say there. A high-end tower cooler will outperform almost all AIOs. I don't know if I agree with that, but yes, a high-end custom loop will outperform both, sure. I think I agree with that. Technically, it's worse per surface area, but you can add way more, which makes custom loop better. In the end, it's always the liquid and temperature delta that are the limiting factor. The fact that you need to refill AIOs sooner or later was always the reason I would never recommend them, aside from small builds with very limited space. Unnecessary for you, maybe. My quiet AIO begs to differ. Runs cool, easy to install and mount. Double as case fan, still cheaper than the Compare Noctua models and more available than comparable air cooling from competition. What cooler is that? It was a Corsair model, 5 years old. Hey, I mean 5 years, it's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. So did I get through all the ones? What a post. What a post. So yeah, let's do my bedtime story here. Unfortunately for me, I was not so lucky with the whole AIO liquid pump cooler. So this was back in 2019, and this was my very first gaming desktop, and I've had this PC for about 2 years, right? So I got this PC 2017. So then in 2019, this is what happened. But the PC, it was bought from CyberPower. Well, one night when I got done playing BDO and I shut down my PC, I heard a loud bust sound, and then I started smelling like a really weird burnt smell, and I can still remember that smell. I can just still remember it. And I looked into my case, and the liquid pump, which I can't even remember the brand that I had, it literally busted, and there was fluid everywhere, dude, everywhere. So I tried cleaning as much as I could. I even like waited a day for it to dry, and then I tried turning it on, and nothing. So I took it to a local shop, and pretty much everything got ruined. My motherboard, my GPU, it was pretty much non-functional. And man, I was so upset because I was pretty much without a system for about a month or two because I had to order a new PC. I can't remember the whole like warranty aspect, but there was a lot of holes to kind of jump through, and messaging back and forth, and somehow it was not covered except the pump itself and not the other components that was affected, which was very frustrating. So with the new PC this time, I got a cooler master, like the double fan air cooler, which I don't even think they make that anymore, the one that I have. But I mean, it's huge. But I did go through CyberPower PC again. Probably shouldn't have, but I haven't had any issues with that PC, and it's been over 5 years. No issues at all. I did recently, like this past month, get a new PC, which is pretty hype. And this PC is through a different company. But yeah, when I was looking for a new PC over the last couple of months, I was like, nope, I am not getting a liquid cooler because now I'm just petrified, which I know what happened is very, very rare. But things like that just tend to happen to me, right? So, for instance, so I just got my new PC a couple weeks ago, and guess what? After I downloaded some software and I restarted my new PC, it wouldn't boot. it would not boot. Like everything on the PC turned on, but there was no display at all. So essentially, after 3 days of back and forth messaging the support team, I was able to finally fix the issue by resetting the CMOS battery, and that seemed to fix the issue. So far, a few weeks into having this computer, I haven't had any issues, but yeah, that's literally just my luck. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this style of video. Just kind of chit-chatting, talking about certain topics, certain aspects, kind of giving my take on these posts. But let me know down in the comments, are you team air cooler or team liquid cooler? But hey, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Sunsets on black desert sky. It's just you and I.